Hey, seventh grade. So today we're solving inequalities part two. Honestly, this is like part 50. But anyways, first thing that I want to show you guys is um today the notebook is required, and what you have is this digital notebook here on the Nearpod. If it's not working for you, just take a picture of that and show me. Shout out to Harmony for doing that last time, but it should work this time. Um, anyway, so let me know. So today the Nearpod is required. You can choose whatever you want. Um, so if you want to actually show your work on paper, you could do so. What really matters is that you just show your work, okay? So we're going to start with example 1. Now, just to review, we kind of went over what's going to happen is you're going to have inequalities with positive coefficients and negative coefficients. And let's remember that solving inequalities has a special rule that when you multiply or divide by a negative number, it flips. Now, the best explanation for why this happens is because dividing by a negative means like taking the opposite. So if I divide by a negative or multiple oh my gosh, if I divide or multiply by a negative number, it always changes that number to the opposite, and that actually includes the inequality sign. So if I divide by a negative number or multiply by a negative number, it's telling me to also do the opposite of that inequality sign. Okay, so let's get started here. Here this is your notebook, Nearpod digital notebook. You'll have the examples, the same thing as the examples here, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. So find the value of x that will make the inequality true. Now, first thing I notice that I'm gonna highlight is that this is gonna be a negative coefficient, and I'm gonna highlight this, let's say in yellow. And what that means is my inequality is going to flip. So I'm highlighting this because I just need to be aware, and I'm going to put flip on the top just because I know that this is going to happen, and just to remind myself to switch or flip the inequality sign. Now we all know that we get started with the variable side, the number side. The line is there to separate both sides, and we always start with the side with the variable, and I'm going to get rid of this -2 first. So we always get rid of the constant first, the number without the variable. And if I'm subtracting by 2 to get rid of it, we do the opposite, or we take the inverse by adding 2 on both sides. Okay, now what we have is -2 plus 2 becomes 0. We've done this so many times at this point, and so I'm left with -2x is, here it's saying greater than, -10 plus 2 is -8. Okay, so here's the part, and I'm going to have a little bit of a star right here because it always usually happens on the second step because we have to divide by a negative number. So as we know, we want to get 1x, and we want to figure out, well, what times -2 will give me -8. So we divide by -2. Remember, anything divided by itself gives me a +1, so that includes the negative. So if it's -2, we divide by -2 on both sides, and I get 1x. Now, let's remember what happens here. Because I divided by a negative number, this sign is going to flip. So because we divide by a negative number, what happens is we kind of switch to the opposite side, right? So this flips, and -8 divided by -2 is a +4. So what happens is now our statement is saying that x has to be less than 4. And what I see here is that this is less than, which means when I graph it on the number line, it'll be an open circle. So I'm going to go to 4, have the circle open, oh, not cute, and highlight all the numbers that are less than 4, which means there's multiple solutions to x that could make this inequality true. It could be any number that is under 4. Okay, so what you're going to do next is, here we go, we're going to click x is less than 4. So the last part of this video is just like, don't forget that once you show your work here, you still have to go back and choose your answer. This would be x is less than 4. Now if you're using paper, that's totally fine, just as long as you show all this work here. So maybe the Nearpod is better, but you know, just let me know. And that is our first example. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to call or message me on GChat and let me know.